So welcome back to Brawler's Guild. Today I have the rank 7 guides for you. The first boss of rank 7 is yet another repeat. This is Nibbly, and he's basically the WoW version of the game's snake. As he moves around, he's going to leave a green trail behind him. Unfortunately, this version of the boss is a little bit more forgiving than the first version of him. In the first version, if you got any stacks at all, you were insta-dead. But in this version, each stack only reduces the damage he takes by about 5%. So if you do get 1 or 2 stacks, it's still fairly forgiving. However, his HP pool is pretty high, so it can make the DPS check a little more tough if you get stacks too early. The general tactic I go for here is just kite him around the outside edge, and as you reach your starting point, just start spiraling into the middle. He does sometimes throw out these pools, which can get in your way. Make sure you don't hit them because they'll give him the buff. And yeah, just spiral into the middle. You're going to hit the enrage timer long before you run out of space. One good method here, which you can see I actually use, is to toggle on your walk. And then if you look in the options for WoW, there's actually a thing called the move pad. And what this does is it lets you auto walk in any direction by clicking the button. So what I do is I toggle on walk and then click the back button on the move pad. And this just forces me to move backwards constantly, and if I feel I'm going too fast I can hold down both of my mouse buttons, which makes me stop in place. And this removes most of the movement aspect of the fight. All you have to do is sort of curve around the corners, but all the backwards movement is covered for you, and it's a pretty good speed to keep moving him around at. So if you can do that, all that's left is to eat through his 49 million HP, which requires a decent amount of DPS. The next fight of rank 7 is the Serpent of Old. This guy is a little bit easier, I feel, than Nibbly is. He has much less HP, and he's sort of reminiscent of the old brawl against Mingus Diggs, where you had the 4 sort of archaeological statues around the area. In this one we have 4 totems. We have a Totem of Ferocity, which increases the damage he deals, a Warding Totem, which reduces the damage he takes, a Healing Flume Totem, which heals him over time, and an Invigorating Totem, which increases his haste and movement speed. So the general idea is move him around these totems, and by the time you reach the first totem again, you want the buff to have fallen off. However, you can sort of go with brute force tactics. If you have lots of defensive cooldowns, you can leave him on the damage totem for a very long time and try and burn him through. It's pretty much a toss-up between how high is your DPS and how good is your defense, and you can tailor your strategy around that. If you have very good defense but low offense, then avoid taking him to the healing or the DR totems and keep him on the haste and damage ones. However, if the opposite's true, you're a glass cannon, you want to maybe keep him on the healing and the DR ones a little bit longer so he doesn't actually kill you with the damage. The other mechanic he has is he just throws down these totems, and these explode after a while. They deal pretty heavy damage. If you have enough stamina, they're not quite a one-shot, however getting hit by one is pretty catastrophic anyway. You can see I actually do get hit by one. It's pretty bad, so do your best to avoid this. The second to last fight here of rank 7 is Epicus Maximus, yet another repeat brawl, and this guy is pretty much, can you do lots of DPS whilst avoiding all the stuff? There's going to be these sort of sonar pulses on the ground. They deal heavy damage if you get hit. There's a destructo laser which chases you around. Again, very, very heavy damage. And there's a blue crush cast, which is lots of damage and a big knockback, which you can interrupt fortunately. If you find yourself lacking interrupts, you can actually outrange the blue crush. Basically tank him in a corner when he does blue crush. Quickly run to the opposite corner. If you're a mage, you can use blink or something like that. However, interrupting each of them is viable for melee DPS because you have more interrupts. Basically, avoid everything and just hit him really, really hard. He has a lot of HP, so it's a big DPS check. Basically, if you can beat this guy, you're pretty close to beating the last fight as well, because whilst the last fight has more HP, you also lose about 10 seconds of DPS time on this guy because of the RP at the start. So here we have it, the final fight of rank 7 and the final fight of the new Brawl overall. And this guy is Ready tier, which is sort of meant to be raid tier. So he's pretty much a ghost that mimics tier 18, which is Hellfire Citadel. So he's going to transform into bosses from Hellfire Citadel and do one of their abilities. He'll always do these abilities in order, he'll just cycle through them all. And I'll go through the order quickly and how you can manage them. The first ability is Siegemaster Martak, and that's Shockwave. Basically, frontal attack deals very, very heavy damage. The actual hitbox in the Shockwave is much, much bigger than you'd expect, so simply moving behind him isn't enough. You need to get out of his range for a few seconds and then go back in. It's a little bit broken, but that's how you avoid it. The next boss is Gurtog Bloodboil. He's going to apply an acidic wound to you, which reduces your armor and deals damage over time. Not much you can do about that, it just reduces your defense, makes you take more damage for the whole fight. So at this point you want to start using defensive cooldowns. The next boss he transforms into is Cormrock, and with this boss he gains the Grasping Hands ability. A hand is going to reach up out of the earth and grab you, and this immobilizes you, however it doesn't prevent you using abilities. The hand deals moderate damage over time. However, because of the heavy DPS requirement in this boss, you can't really actively kill the hand. You pretty much just have to passively cleave it down and continue burning the boss and hope that you can kill it with sufficient time. The next transform here is Kilrog Deadeye, and he's going to do death throws. He's going to target these green circles on you for a period of time. Dodge all the circles, you'll still take some heavy damage anyway, but if you get a direct hit by a circle, then you're dead. So dodge all of these, try and keep as much damage on the boss during it as you can, and yeah, at this point you may need to start healing as the damage sort of ramps up. The next boss here is Gorefiend, who uses Crushing Darkness. This is a bunch of purple swirls that go out in a spiral formation, and then they all detonate in the same spiral. Basically don't stand in the purple swirls, that's all there is to it. Pretty straightforward. If you get hit by one of these again, you're basically toast, so avoid. Next transformation is when the fight starts to ramp up. You want to be looking into killing the boss pretty soon. The Fell Lord Zakuun transform, he's going to do a Fell Crystal. This just erupts at your location, and then the crystal starts firing out shadow waves in every direction. If you get hit by one of these waves, then you're dead. So the way I wanted to manage it was to tank the boss in one corner, spawn the crystal there, and then move the boss to the opposite corner. That way I had much more time to react from the shadow waves. Because again, if you get hit by one of these, it's over. Shortly after the Fell Lord transform, he's going to do a Tyrant Volhari transform, and with this one he'll do Gavel of the Tyrant. Gavel is going to deal a large amount of fire damage to you, about 800k, and knock you away, and then it's going to deal periodic damage over time for about another 800k. If you have major defensive cooldowns, this is where to use them because this hurts a lot. The next ability he has is from Zul'Harak. This is a black hole. He'll just spawn a black hole somewhere in the room, usually it's pretty close to you. If you're standing inside this, you'll take massive damage over time, and even if you're not in it, it's going to pull you towards it, so this adds an awkward movement element to the fight. For casters it's pretty bad, even for melee. It makes the shadow waves kind of hard to avoid because you're being pulled all over the place. This is really where the fight starts winding down. If you don't have the boss dead shortly after this, you're going to have problems. The next transformation, as we reach the end of Hellfire Citadel, is the Manaroth one. And for this, he's going to do Fell Implosion, which just deals fire damage to enemies nearby and spawns imps. However, this is interruptible. I don't think that's intended, so it may be hotfixed at some point. But for now, just interrupt it and he won't spawn the imps and he won't deal damage to you. The next ability here, and the final one, is the Archimon transformation. If you've done Archimon, you're familiar with the phase 1 ability, Shadowfell Burst, where he knocks you way into the air. Well, he does the same here. He knocks you into the air and then you're dead, and that's it, the fight's over. If you can't kill him by the Archimon phase, then that's it, there's no way to survive this. That's pretty much your hard DPS check. Can you kill him before he transforms into Archimonde? So he has close to 60 million HP, and the Grasping Hand has about 4 million as well. So you're going to need, between 500 and 600k DPS to beat this guy. You need to consider, is this actually viable for my character? Can I do this? I mean, you can make use of a lot of things like the Brawl potions, the regular potions. You can pre-pot 2 potions and then use 2 potions later in the fight. You can get the drums to get a 25% haste buff temporarily. You can get augment runes, you can get food, you can get flasks. You can also get these brews from the Timeless Isle in Pandaria. They stay alive for a little while and do some very, very minor damage. They're really not impactful at all, but if you're exactly on the edge, it could be worth it for the extra 100k damage they might do. But it does involve having to go to Timeless Isles, it's a bit of a drag. But yeah, don't be disheartened if you can't beat this guy. I think the intention is for this to last until Nighthold. So for a lot of classes, the gear isn't going to quite be there yet to beat him. However, if you do have sort of raid gear or high mythic plus gear, then you can kind of push through and actually beat them for now. But it's quite a challenge for DPS, so if you can't, just wait a little bit for more gear and come back and try again. Thanks for watching all these Brawlers Guild guides. Hopefully they're useful and you can push through to get rank 8. And you can try some of the random brawls or the special brawls. I won't be covering those because it's just a lot of old stuff for the most part. However, you can go into them, see what happens, see how well you do. Thanks for watching and good luck with your brawling.